Andrew, we're going to talk about crypto, of course, with Ripple. This is the topic we have to touch on. And I think in a very fortunate moment now that we have seen that a pro-crypto former chancellor has become prime minister in the United Kingdom. So I would like to ask you a few questions about the crypto industry, which has always been considered a little bit of a dodgy environment, but now it's coming up, it's creating growth, and it's creating jobs, money, and it's becoming up to under the regulatory umbrella, so that we can all be sure that the products that are offered are in line with consumer protection, fully compliant with AML and all other regulations. And tell us why crypto is here to stay, and what is your perspective about why this has happened and how it can continue to happen in the future.
Yeah, sure, and thanks very much for having me, Riccardo, and the Payment Association. It's very good to be talking to you all. I mean, maybe it'd be helpful if I quickly say at the beginning, like, who Ripple is. So Ripple's a blockchain company. We help businesses move, manage, and tokenize value, and our core service helps businesses make cross-border payments cheaper, faster, and more transparently. So that's where we sit in this ecosystem. I mean, look, I think you're right. Crypto is here to stay. For me, the important thing is to understand what we mean by crypto. A lot of people in the general public, media, public sector, some people are still used to thinking about crypto just in terms of the price of a retail token, a Bitcoin. But it's much more than that. This, presumably the people listening to this know this, but the crypto ecosystem is diverse. There are a very wide range of actors with different business models, different use cases for the underlying technology, crypto asset technology. One key distinction, for example, is between consumer-facing tokens, so these retail ones, and crypto asset businesses that service other businesses, B2B, the sort of plumbing of the financial system. And every day we see more and more financial institutions and institutional investors joining this space. And that's because there's real utility, and the use cases that are being built in this space can actually help companies and people with what they want to do. So it's around this utility that we need to look. I mean, this is why it's here to stay, is because what can crypto asset technology do to improve the functioning of a given business or the financial system as a whole? It's staying because it solves real world problems in finance more widely. And I think the period we're in now is one where the noise and to some extent the heat has come out of the market. So businesses can actually take a look at the underlying benefit of crypto technologies and assess what the underlying utility is for them. And I think that's just one other point I'll maybe touch on here, which is an obvious one, but blockchain's a technology, right? It's not a product, it's not a service. And just like other sort of technological bases, like the internet or electricity, it's something that can be built upon for a wide range of purposes across the whole economy. The industry just happens, in one sense, just happens to have started with finance. The steam engine started with cloth weaving, but it didn't end there. So I think we're at this very early stage of developing a quite broad-based technology that will have many use cases. So that's why it's here to stay. Now, there are ups and downs as people innovate. The important thing is having an environment that supports innovation while protecting customers. An important part of that is helping existing businesses adopt this new technology. This is an evolutionary technology, not a revolutionary one. One example of this, Ripple's just celebrated its 10th anniversary. We're quite old for a crypto company. We've been through a lot of these market peaks and troughs already. I'm sure there'll be more in the future. But honestly, it looks like the crypto industry today is getting more solid and more useful. And that's, again, because of what it can do for others. And Ripple, we've been partnering with enterprises from the beginning. We started cross-border payments. We use XRP because it has a clear use case. So again, it goes back to this, I think, core answer to your question of why crypto is here to stay. Well, it's because it's useful, or it should be useful.
Absolutely. And what do you think that the UK government is doing on this? Do you think that the government is up to speed to keep up with innovation? I mean, or not? But be honest, we need a little bit of challenging, I think.
I'll be honest. I mean, look, I think the UK government is actually in a good place. There's a clear recognition of the benefit of having a thriving crypto asset sector in the UK in terms of what that means for a more efficient financial sector and as a boost to UK investment, to jobs growth, to upskilling jobs. And sort of as an implication of what I was just saying, like there's a whole industry growing around this new technology, and this can help the UK financial sector push forward to its next stage and bring the rest of the economy with it. I think the UK government gets that. You mentioned earlier, like the UK government earlier this year committed to making the UK a leading global crypto hub, and bit by bit we're seeing the relevant initiatives come through, like the DLT hub and some of the proposals for legislation in this space. You know, like you were saying, I think earlier, the recent addition of crypto assets into the Financial Services and Markets Bill is really encouraging. And actually, I think it shows quite nicely how flexible UK policymakers can be and at what speed they can act when an opportunity comes along. But you know, the important thing is this is very much a starting point, not the end of the necessary regulation in the space. And I think, sorry?
What would you put on your top list?
My top list.
What would you like to see the government doing in the, let's say, next 6 months? What is achievable? What is not achievable? What do you think we should go?
Yeah, so I mean, as I was just saying, and I only wanted to add in one other thing, which is actually I think UK regulators as well, more widely than the government, have also are doing a good job. I'm very impressed how open they are to listening to industry, understanding industry's perspective on on what a good policy framework would look like. And you know, I think they're doing well, and they're putting a lot of effort into developing their frameworks. You know, the FCA's policy statement, what was it, 1922, was very good to explain their understanding. So we've come a long way. My answer to your question is, I think we've come a long way already. If we go back to this time last year, we weren't having this kind of conversation. We would have been having a very different, probably much more negative conversation around the state of the UK. You know, this push came forward, as you said, from Rishi Sunak and John Glenn when they were at the Treasury earlier this year, and we should recognise that. But to make the most of this momentum, there are some things we need. And as I say, I think adding the addition of crypto assets into the Financial Services and Markets Bill gives us great opportunity for this. And the government can lead on these things. So firstly, the UK needs to finalise its regulatory framework, and this needs to be clear. It needs to distinguish between different types of crypto activity based on risk profiles. This is going to provide the certainty and support for crypto businesses as they grow and build trust among the wider public. Part of this is what we were talking about earlier, recognizing a difference between consumer-facing and B2B businesses, the use of a token as they're designed. As I say, work's been done on this already. This is not a question of chucking it out and starting again. It's building what we already have, but finalizing the framework, because right now it's still quite piecemeal. I'm optimistic, but we're not there yet. Then secondly, this framework does require, I think, regulators to have a lot more resources and to be better coordinated so that they can keep up with the demands of an innovative sector. They're doing their best, I would say, and that's good, but this is a difficult sector. It's fast growing. There are a lot of implications, and you know, it is new. Like, people don't have experience in it by definition. So we need the resources for them to understand what's going on and to respond to it appropriately. Maybe that includes introducing a CBDC as a sort of public sector infrastructure on top of which private sector can innovate. And the third thing that I think needs to happen, this is almost fundamental, or I mean, it is fundamental in the sense that it's at the base of everything else, is we need to have an active joint effort between industry and government and policymakers to improve public education around crypto and new forms of finance. Like, the level of understanding more widely, and therefore the questions media put to policymakers, the responses you get, just the sort of the poor reputation, as you were talking about earlier, that the industry still has in some places, is harmful, because it means that people are approaching industry, they're approaching some of the questions in a very defensive posture. And, you know, as I was saying, I think the UK government gets that there's actually quite a big opportunity for the UK, both economically, financially, and in terms of like individual jobs and skills. It's an opportunity, but to seize an opportunity, you really want to be enthusiastic about it. You don't want to be defensive about it. So there are the three things we need: finalised regulatory framework, better resources and coordination for regulators, and improved public education. And I think just finally, I'd say the UK can learn from other jurisdictions about this. You know, I don't think there's necessarily a first mover advantage in regulation or developing a policy space around crypto. So Singapore, Dubai, MiCA in the EU, these are great places for the UK policymakers to look, see what's worked, see what's and then take it on for what the UK needs for itself. You know, this is not a copy paste. This is, that was great, that wasn't great, so let's tie it together within our framework, within our tradition.
Absolutely. In the end, we all know that British lawmakers have always been crucial to ensure good and responsible financial legislation in the EU. So I think that now we've got this expertise back home, so I'm sure that we can construct something even better than what our neighbours have done. But this is a good opportunity for, you know, the government to work on. We wish all the policymakers and the lawmakers best of luck to make sure that they understand the needs for this to grow safely. And as a trade association, of course, we're here to make our part and ensure that regulators and lawmakers are up to speed with the industry to deliver growth for the country. And I don't think we have anything to add as for now. I share all your points, and I know that I can say that the Payments Association is extremely happy to play its part. We have recently formed a UK coordination group for digital currencies with other leading trade associations like UK Finance, Digital Pound Foundation, and we all here to make sure that these standards can come up and the UK can retain its global role in the new world and become the global hub for crypto asset technology. Thank you very much, Andrew. And in 6 months, I want to see you here evaluating what we have been saying now. So in 6 months, we'll have to make the state of play and say, where are we? Are we getting good or bad? And hopefully the response is we're doing very well.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.